Hi, welcome to Subject to Change. Lauren and I are here with Kelly and Steffani from Onondaga Community College. What exactly is the AAWCC?
American Association of Women in Community Colleges is a national organization that promotes leadership opportunities for women who are employed at community colleges. And then we also have student memberships. So students who attend community colleges, we provide networking opportunities for women in community colleges, training, professional development, social opportunities, volunteer opportunities. We have a board structure with committees who help plan our events.
Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. When you see the little microphone in the lower right, click on that to learn more. We're so glad you're here. There's also a different ability, well, not ability, maybe. There's a different tone to networking if you can really focus on the women's perspective of the workforce. And I think that is really welcoming to some people who wouldn't do the networking otherwise. And I can tell you, we've had conversations with like leadership coaches about mentorship in the past. And I, quite frankly, never had a female mentor in the industry. And it's nice to know that maybe those connections can be made. This is about student engagement.
I'm interested to hear about some of the student engagement efforts that you guys are working on.
We've struggled a little bit to get students involved. We did implement last year, one of our board members had an idea that if you wanted to pay extra for your membership, you could sponsor a student. So we actually started doing that as well. So instead of spending, because a student membership is $10, I believe. So if you wanted to sponsor a student, you could actually just pay an extra 10 or an extra 20 or 30 or 40, however much you want. And then you could recruit a few extra students to join.
Students change things.
We used to have wine at our events. This was when it first started, and that was a big draw. Like people wanted to come and have wine and, different things like that. Well, we kind of had to say, okay, if we have students there, we can't have alcohol. Mm-hmm. So, we made that decision. It was okay that we did that. We were like, yeah, we don't have to do it that way. If we want to have alcohol, we could go have a happy hour somewhere. We don't have to do it on campus.
There are so many valuable connections here.
Oh, what a cool thing. One, I didn't know that existed. And two, I thought, what a wonderful way to promote so much value to women on campuses. And so I was thinking that actually has a huge sustainability implication.
The terms are always, oh, your generation is going to have to fix this problem. And I always buck against that because I've still got a ton of work to do. And people that have gone before Lauren and I in the world of sustainability are still viable and researching and contributing. And isn't it great when you can have the insights of somebody who's in a younger generation who actually feels the changes happening, talking to someone who's been on the theoretical side because they were prescient and knew that this was going to happen, and how those things can feed each other. So in an organization where you can build that generational linkage, and I like the fact that you're reaching out to retirees too, that could be very exciting for everyone. So are men included?
U.S. Green Building Council, and we have local chapters as well as like a national organization as well. And they had started doing a Women in Green brunch. And I was always kind of interested in that component, but there were a lot of men that actually attended and also supported the Women in Green brunch. And I'm wondering if there's male members is a part of this, even though technically it's a women's kind of subsection of the group.
So you can have male members. I think we had maybe one or two in our time. We don't currently have any male members, but when we can, we open the events up to the campus community at large. And so we do occasionally have males who join in those events, but it is primarily women.
Really, what you're trying to do is kind of just promote women in the organization. It's not an anti something, it's a promotion of something.
Fun networking.
It's really fun. We are definitely a fun group of people, and our social events are things like, in the past we've done what's called speed networking. So sort of like speed dating, only you're just going to meet a whole bunch of people who you work with who maybe you haven't had an opportunity to chat with before.
Crossing silos.
I'm going to join because the other thing that I've also come to learn from being on campus is that everyone seems to have multiple hats, right? Like you have your job, but then like you also have additional roles, it seems, on campus. So I'm going to join because I feel like there's going to be so many people where I've seen the emails come across, but I've never actually had the opportunity to really mix or mingle with them. So I think that's something that I'm going to do.
Tossing the ball to Steff.
What is the next event that you guys have planned?
Go ahead, Steff.
Oh, there's excitement here. I can feel it.
There is. Our next event is on a Monday night at 7:00. It is a Zoom, and it's called Menopause on a Monday. And we have solicited the help of a friend who has a friend who is a nurse specializing in women's health. And we have asked her to present on this topic.
Great.
So we're going to take an hour. It is on December 13th, I think. And everyone who is, the first 20 people who sign up to come to the event or to participate are getting a little goodie bag. And the goodie bag has things in it like chocolate and a fan, like a fan that you,
oh, that's cute.
And a worry stone and a stress ball and just things that, whatever. And then we have the little tag that's going to go on there is this hysterical graphic from a cartoonist named Gemma Carell. And it's called Menstrual Island. And it is very funny. So you'll have to Google that image.
I have to Google that.
Yeah, it's really cute, and it's like Crampy Town, and like, so it's an island shaped like a uterus, and there's different gross stuff, but it's very funny.
And kudos to any men who show up.
Yeah.
Right.
I actually very understanding, man. That's for sure.
Or will be by the end of the night. True. I actually really admire that you're talking about menopause, because I can tell you I don't have I have family around, I don't have family around. I don't really have older women in my life to clue me in on stuff. And it hit me like a ton of bricks. And doctors don't know anything.
No.
It's quite shocking.
It's like this secretive thing that no one talks about, and we all are going to go through it, and it's important.
It can be a venue for difficult subjects. I just think it's really good, because not only are the conversations going to be had, but one of the things that we have I think culturally lost our ability to do is have conversations about difficult subjects. Sometimes they're polarized difficult subjects. Regardless, I think any opportunity to talk about difficult subjects gives you back some of that skill that we've lost. And so if that's not an aspect of sustainability, I don't know what is. And they found a chance to multiply access.
Said to our group, I said, why don't we do cross-regional events that we invite, our region to? And so what we did is we established last year for the first time Professional Development Week. So each one of the schools comes up with an activity or a professional development session where we share our Zoom link with those schools and they can participate. So for this one, for Menopause on a Monday, I actually sent the list of all the things that we're including in our goodie bag to all the schools in our region, which it's only a handful. It's like 6 or 7 schools. And I said, here's what we're doing. Here's the Zoom link. and they're going to do the same thing we do. So that's kind of a cool thing. We haven't done that before.
The other thing that's great about sharing those professional development events with the other schools in our region is then they will share their professional developments with our membership. And so we're planning one event, but our members will have the opportunity to attend 5, 6, 7 different events on different topics.
Expanding your reach and your resources and your benefit pool. Wow, good.
Also, the AAWCC National Conference for the past 2 years has been on video. And so usually you have to go to a place, fly to a place.
Right.
And so because they moved the conference to an online Zoom type conference, everyone could attend.
This access is really here to stay.
So I think that's here to stay. Eventually, I think they'll go back to being in person, but it's been a free conference, which is really cool. That conference is expensive. I mean, I went to it a couple times and it was a couple $1,000s total for, travel and hotel and meals and all that stuff. So, yeah.
Right. I like the idea that something as horrid as COVID has taught us a new skill that we will take forward in a beneficial way. And I worry because I hear people saying that they're so eager to get back to normal and they think everything's going to go right back to the way it was. And if they do that, they're missing out tremendously. Because I think we can take some of those skills and use them. Not all of them, not all the time. The flexibility, though, has been introduced, which is really nice.
Little faces.
I'm wondering, did the remote access for classes before you went back to campus, did that impact women more than men in any way?
So I can only speak anecdotally. Some of the students who I know, I'm not sure that we know sort of widespread if it's made a difference. It's a little bit too early to tell. I know I had a lot of women who were home holding babies, feeding babies. Right. Every once in a while I would see, a little kid face come in, and sometimes they were home with her, and then she'd get like one little face and another little face and a third little face, and then would join in for our class. And we don't have very many of those classes at OCC this semester. And I do think that it has, for a lot of moms and women with other kinds of transportation issues or schedule issues, I think the fact that we had those and now we don't have those has been a little bit of a challenge. Right. We are talking as a faculty about, should we return to that kind of class? Can students be successful in that kind of class? Are we meeting the needs of a specific population? So for example, we don't want the young person who just doesn't feel like getting out of bed that day to be joining in a real-time remote class, because that we know that that's not healthy for young people. Mm-hmm. But there is a certain population that kind of class can have a huge benefit for.
Creating student success.
It has to do with engagement, like getting them involved, because success for students is all about how they feel about being connected to the college. So the more connected they are, the more involved they are with things, the more likely they are to be successful. That's one thing. But the other really cool thing is that the national organization offers scholarships to students as well. And we haven't put any students forward. I think we've done it. But not recently.
Let's go back. What's your day job?
No, and I just realized that you had talked about how everyone involved with this is a volunteer in making this happen. So, and I probably missed part of the introduction, but what are your day jobs when you're not volunteering for this?
I'm a psychology professor.
Psychology professor. Okay.
Yeah. And I'm the director of development and annual giving in the OCC Foundation.
Wow. So absolutely incredible when you brought up that students could link to people, like if they need to pay their bills, maybe someone who's there who can help. It made me realize that I hadn't realized your role at the college. That's the basis for then your role in this volunteer networking supportive capacity. So excellent that you're doing this. It's amazing.
I sometimes need to talk to students to get stories. Like I might need to find out, if one of my students is getting a scholarship, what's their backstory?
Mhm.
You know, are they a single mom with kids at home and they're coming back to school as an adult learner and they've won this, you know, whatever award? And I may need to go back to the donor and tell the donor, look, this is the person who won. Or I might need to tell my board, you know, who they are. So this is another great way for us as employees that don't interact with students every day or don't know their backstory. We just see a name to meet them.
And one of our founding members is Casey Crable, who is our president at OCC. So, I mean, we have a wide variety of members. We have faculty, we have staff, we have administration, we have students. So it is really a great way to meet people that you would not otherwise meet.
Master of Ceremonies.
Toot Steff's horn a little bit. So last spring, we had a panel of presidents of colleges.
Oh, wow.
And so we were Steff was able to recruit our own president, Casey Crable, and then how many? 4 other presidents?
I think we had three
Okay,
other
so
presidents.
4 total. And again, everybody in your own home campus, people attending on Zoom. It was, I think, one of our best events ever. First of all, they were so personable. So you think like a president of a college,
Right.
what are they going to say to little old me? They were so honest, so personable. It was about leading through the pandemic and some of the challenges and how they met with those challenges. It was so funny. Like who would think you go to a president's panel and you're going to laugh so much? They told us about their hobbies. A lot of them were in their home, were working from their home. And I think it was one of the best events that we have ever had. Steff did a fantastic job. She moderated the whole thing. She was so comfortable talking to, women in really big leadership positions. It was a great learning experience. And it was something that, we couldn't have done if it was just us. We needed the network of other organizations to help us. And then I think we had almost 100 people attending that event. So
that's fantastic. Really good.
I was terrified. I'm not going to lie.
And it didn't show. I knew she was terrified, but it did not show at all.
She's too kind. And my husband had COVID at that time and was like declining miserably. I mean, he lived. Thank God he didn't die, but he did have to go to the hospital and everything. I mean, I was in my basement. Like
I was going to say, weren't you in your basement? Weren't you quarantined in your basement?
So anyway, I guess I did a good job. And then AAWCC National, they were like, Steff, we're going to do a president's panel. Can you moderate that? And I was like, oh crap. So then I find out that I think I'm just moderating, right? Like I'm just going to, no, I had to design the whole thing. Like I had to build the entire thing.
Nodes of connection and interconnection.
I see all these nodes in my mind.
Yeah.
The student node, the professor node, the administrative node, and then I see this organization crossing those and linking them up. And then I think of how that, I mean, the network is an overused word, but what you've created is the strength of that community that's at a different level than the structural level of the organization, which I always admire.
The power of a community college.
I'm so amazed by the students that attend community colleges, because it's my personal opinion that because of their circumstances, whatever they may be, they just work harder than the average person. At least many of them do, right? I mean, a lot of them have full-time or part-time jobs while they're going to school. Many of them have families, are supporting families, are stellar students. They might be first generation. They might just not be sure what they want to do for a living. And it's so interesting and so amazing to meet all of these students. And, they really do deserve scholarships in addition to, the already great education that they're getting to help kind of catapult them.
Being a trim tab.
I love this. I love the premise of this and the fact that it just seems as though you're truly building community. And I think that the most sustainable thing that we can do is create really good, strengthened communities. And I really, I'm clearly biased, but I believe that women are the way to that. I think that we are the people that steer the ship. We might not always be the captain in the front, but we're definitely the trim tab, and we make it go where it needs to go.
So Kelly and Steffani share their heroes.
Honestly, this is going to sound really dumb, but I think it's my husband.
Beautiful.
And, because he has brought me out of my comfort zone on many occasions. And I'm very risk averse, and he's very non-risk averse. So, I think that he taught me things. We've been married a long time. We were married not young, but late 20s. But I would have never. I moved away from here, from Syracuse. I'm from here, but I moved away because of him. I moved overseas because of him. I moved into different states. I've kind of experienced some different things that I probably would not have done had it not been for his adventure. So, and he can fix anything. Like he fixed our Christmas tree lights. Like, it's a pre-lit tree. Like, people, these things don't work. You throw it to the curb. No, he was out there. He got them all working. I'm like, okay. So yeah, I think it's my husband. I think
that's awesome. That's very cool.
Yes.
A good guy.
Okay, so mine is actually going to be a group of people.
Okay.
So I don't have any sisters. I have 2 younger brothers. And growing up, I always wished that I had a sister. So every year on my Christmas list, I would put a baby sister.
Aww.
We did a good one. But my husband is from a very large family. And so I have been blessed with wonderful, wonderful sister-in-laws. And so my husband, or my brother's wives, my husband's sisters, and his brother's wives have really taught me a lot. Many of them have been mentors to me in a wide variety of ways. I've learned a lot about what it means to have relationships with women from them.
Right.
And they're sort of my go-to people. Like, I might not talk to them every day or every week, but I know if I need something, they are someone who I can reach out to. And so I can consider myself very lucky that in adulthood, I got so many of what I wished for as a child.
That's great. And it kind of sounds like the organization is something that could offer that to people at OCC. So I think that's quite a wonderful link.
And what should we all really focus on?
If you could have the world focus only on one initiative moving forward, something that you think is like a major cause that needs to just be addressed, what would that cause be?
Before I was a psychology professor at OCC, I worked as a school psychologist, and I worked in the Syracuse City Schools, and I worked in the East Syracuse Minoa School District.
That was my school district.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And so I work with kids who struggled for a wide variety of reasons. And in my work now with young people, I know that many of them have struggled in childhood. And so sometimes when I hear people's stories about when they were children, I just want to say, why are we traumatizing all of these children? Like, why are we as adults making choices that we know are wrong for our children? And if we could maybe get a handle on what our issues are to try and make things better for the youngest of our population, I think the world would be a much, much better place. So if I had to pick one thing, it would be, please let's stop traumatizing children.
Excellent.
Yes, agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed. Definitely.
I'm thinking about what I'm passionate about. Like,
That works,
I'm really, so I think the first thing that came to mind, and this might seem silly, but the first thing that came to mind for me was the arts. So
that's not silly at all.
Yeah, people talk about eliminating the arts in school and things like that. And I think it's so important to keep the arts, no matter what it is, whether it's singing or playing an instrument or art, you're painting or you're designing or you're whatever. I think that's hugely important to keep in our culture and in schools, because it's an outlet for people.
Right.
And it's a way to express yourself.
It's one of our very first interviews was with an improv actor.
Mhm.
And I remember we talked about things for like 3 hours, but he talked about, fascism, and said that one of the first things that somebody who wants to control other people does is remove art, remove freedom of expression, remove exploration of ideas that can be challenging, and I think that actually, after hearing both of you speak, think of how honoring our children and protecting them is also tied to giving them the right to express themselves and work out their emotions and learn. I think actually that applies to us too. So it's not just for kids, but
This has been Subject to Change. Thanks so much for joining us.
I think those are both beautiful, beautiful initiatives and things we should focus on. And I thank you for them.
Thank you both so much. We really appreciate your time and learning something totally new. This is totally new.
Yeah, totally new.
Talk to you soon.
Okay, bye.
Okay,
Thank you.
bye.